would be wise to surrender.
Yeah. Probably. By Darth Vader.
Impressive. Most impressive.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another video. Sorry I'm a little late on this. Sorry this isn't the Resident Evil 5 video, but I heard last week that EA is working on a sequel to the Star Wars Jedi franchise, and I'm kind of excited about this because I deeply enjoy these games. The first one was my favorite. The second one had great gameplay, but the story was very lackluster. So for this video, I want to talk about some of my ideas on how they should do Jedi 3, because we don't have a subtitle for it, so... So, what do we know about this game? Other than the fact that it's supposed to cap off the Cal Kestis trilogy, EA has said that this is going to be the final Jedi game. So, this is probably the one that's going to go all out. It's pretty much our Return of the Jedi, or our end finale, so to speak, including Cal Kestis' journey in the Star Wars games. Now, do I think that they're going to kill off the character? Most likely, depending on when this game takes place. Do I like the idea? Fuck no! But I do think it could happen. At this point in Cal's journey, this is his darkest trial. His Luke Skywalker moment in some aspects. Return of the Jedi moment, I guess. Now, I don't like the idea of killing him off, but I do see it happening. I feel that this game should really go back to its darker tone that the first game set. I feel that this should really be Cal's darkest journey. And with the plot threads that Jedi Survivor left us with, Cal's battle with the dark side, it does make the most sense. Now, I do think that he has accepted the love of Merrin, and he's adopted Kata, sorry. So, Merrin and Kata would be a bit of a complication in this story. I do feel like they would have major roles, especially with Grease and stuff like that. But I also see the planet of Tanalorr being destroyed. I'm sorry, but I feel that Tanalorr should really just be destroyed in this game, and it would make the most sense because it is never mentioned and the other Star Wars canon stuff, and the fact that, the droid is on that one planet, it would be so easy for the Empire to get a hold of her and then go to the Tanalorr and destroy the planet. I just feel like there's so many ways that this game could really have a darker story, where the second game really just explored the character of Cal Kestis and just expanded on stuff, and having him hold the line, so to speak, and just kind of gave him a little bit more of a character arc, and the stuff with Merrin and all that. I feel that this game should really push him to his limits. Where the second game really explored that darkness, this one really push it. It would be unleashed in some aspects, no pun intended. Especially if you also kill off some other characters. Maybe you could have Kata really explore the darkness in some aspects. She is a daughter of Bode and a daughter of a Jedi, so having her turn in some aspects would be very interesting. Kind of having a parallel of both games, having a character like Trilla, which was the perfect villain, compared to Dagan or Bode. Enough about my plot ideas, let's get into gameplay, because I do feel that Jedi Survivor really expanded on gameplay, and I feel that this game could really expand on it even more. Instead of just having lightsaber, force, and Survivor, I feel that we could even add more tiers and do something that Jedi Survivor did brilliantly, which is give us what we already have, but expand on it, and stuff like that. I feel that with the upgrade system that we had in Survivor, it was perfect, but we can expand on it, giving us even more, maybe some new tiers. This game, I feel that Cal Kestis is kind of going down a bit of a dark path. And wouldn't it be interesting if we did have a dark side tree? So this way we have some dark side abilities, but the gameplay would kind of punish us for using them. So they're a lot slower, and it would be harder to use some of them. Wouldn't it be interesting to use Force Lightning? or even some other dark side abilities that we actually see Cal use in cutscenes like Force Choke and stuff like that. Wrong, I don't want to turn Cal into a Sith, but I do want to expand his arsenal. And if he's starting to embrace the balance of a little bit of darkness, why not expand on that, giving us abilities we've never really had before? Yes, we've had a few of them, but we could expand on them and how we can use them in combat. Well, that would be amazing, and this way we're not just stuck with the same abilities we had originally, because I feel the Jedi abilities, we've pretty much accessed everything. We've used all of it. Why not give us some brand new tiers like dark side abilities, daffamerian spells, and even a new class when it comes to weapons or stuff like that? I feel like one ability that we could have that was hinted at in Survivor heavily is jetpacks or jet boots. It's hinted at a lot, and I do think it would be an interesting mechanic, partially expanding on the double jump and dash abilities, giving us even a temporary flight, kind of similar to Deadshot in Suicide Squad to Kill the Justice League. There is a limit on it and you can't completely fly, but it does give you more movability and stuff like that with traversal, because that's another thing I want to expand on. Going back to the original game where the traversal was key, yes, you can fly with animals in this in Survivor, which I do want to keep, but expand on, even being able to fight on them. But I also feel like there is a lot of things mechanically that they can do. I do like what Jedi Survivor did mechanically. Now, the story was not the best, but it did take the foundations of the first game, expanded on them heavily, and then applied them. I feel that it would be the same treatment with this game, and I don't think it would be far off to assume that they could even give us daffamerian magic. Maybe Marin could be teaching Kata and Cal some of her little tricks. It's a feature that a lot of people would want, and I feel that at this point, I feel that it would make the most sense to expand on the gameplay and stuff like that. Now, I also want to expand on Cal's regular abilities, but his finishing ability, where he stops all time, is too overpowered. So we might tweak it and dial it back a bit, but I feel that it still works, and I do want to expand on the puzzles, going back to some of the way they did them in the original game, relying them around the Force and other stuff. Yes, you could still have some stuff with BD, but yeah. Also, at this point, Kata would be around her teens, so maybe she could be a little Jedi in training. Who knows? Even being able to play with her and have a few Force powers and stuff like that, very similar to Fallen Order, where she has maybe a new ability that's never been seen, or maybe just some basic ones. Who knows? For this game, that they might expand Kata's role, and also maybe expand her relationship with Cal, being like a surrogate father and also a mentor, and Marin being like a surrogate mother or sister-like character, both being like her adopted parents, even teaching her different abilities and different stuff. You can almost play very similarly to Cal and how he played in Jedi Fallen Order, and I feel like she could also be very reckless and be very, almost like, I feel she would be like Ezra Bridger from Star Wars Rebels in some aspects. Very reckless, but also very confident and very powerful. Now, I'm fully aware that a lot of people just want to play as Cal, but I do think it would be very interesting to introduce like different sections where you play as another character. Very similar to Survivor, how you got to play as Seer. So this would kind of be very similar, kind of like God of War Ragnarok with the boy sections. I feel like maybe this game could have different playable sections with different characters. Cal, Marin, and maybe Kata. Talked about characters and gameplay, but we haven't really talked about planets. Now, in some aspects, I love Jedi Survivor and Jedi Fallen Order's different planets and exploration, because the exploration is key. Now, I feel that Survivor did kind of fumble with it, but I feel that we can go back to our roots, going to more of a Jedi Fallen Order route with more planets. I think it would be so cool. More planets would be amazing. I would love the ability to return to previous planets that we've been to in the older games, but I don't want to give my hopes up. I want this game to go back to the Jedi Fallen Order route. Yes, we only had 4 planets. I don't like that. I want more, but I want to go back to the route of each planet felt different. Daffamerian had a different traversal, the same for Kashyyyk, the same for every single one. I would love each planet to have a different feel again. I know that we have so many different planets in the Star Wars mythos. Why not use them? Giving us brand new planets instead of just recycling aspects from other planets to put onto a brand new one. I want some oldies, but some goodies. It'd be amazing to return to previous planets from the movies, but also TV shows. Having the ability to return to the Fallen Order planets and Survivor planets would be very interesting, so you have the ability to swap your maps. This way you have the ability to return to planets from the original games, but you also have some brand new planets that would be very interesting. So you have a mixture, and I feel like this game could really explore the idea of planets and having them have a different feel, just like they did in Jedi Fallen Order, with distinct enemies that are for that specific planet, but also traversal options that are unique and very fun to do compared to Survivor, where it just felt the same most of the time. I really love the fact that Jedi Fallen Order had a different feel when it comes to planets, and the way you explored them felt unique with different options, different ways to get around. Personally, I would love to see some brand new planets that put that to the test. Hell, I would love to see the planets from Star Wars Rebels, like Lothal, and maybe even Mandalore, or even Tatooine or Naboo. I think it would be very interesting to expand on the different planets that we know of and get to see them in a different light. The same way Fallen Order did in some aspects. Instead of just giving us brand new planets and expecting us to care, I want to explore some old ones and also maybe still give us some new ones that really put our traversal skills to the test and give us some enemies that are unique that we never have heard of before for each planet. Because I want these planets to have a very different feel, and introducing some old ones but giving them a different perspective, like how they did with Kashyyyk and Dathomir, also giving us brand new ones like they did with Survivor when it comes to Chandelure and a few others, would be interesting. And I feel that they could strike a balance with this game by giving us brand new planets, but also reintroducing old ones with a different look and feel at times. Way we kind of get a bit of both worlds in some aspects, no pun intended. Plus, one of my top tier planets that I really want to see is Naboo. I feel like this planet is a very old planet that we could really explore. Hell, we could even explore the planet that Princess Leia is a part of, which I forget the name of, so let me know in the comments. I feel like that would be another one that we could explore. I don't want each planet to be like a city, but I do feel like there has to be a balance of challenge. And Naboo does strike a perfect balance, having some underwater bits when it comes to the Gungans, and also being a city type landscape where there's plenty to traverse in this game. I feel it would be perfect for many reasons. It's a giant city, it has underwater bits, there's a lot of room for mystery when it comes to enemy types because we don't know a lot about the species of Naboo, so it would be very interesting to fight the Gungan soldiers and stuff like that. Hell, we could actually have space battles in this game. I feel like that would actually be an interesting new element that we could take from the original different games that EA has done. I feel like instead of just having like a space, battle of just going straight and flying occasionally like we did in Survivor, I feel like we can actually have some Battlefront style space battles in some aspects, because EA is no stranger to that, and I feel like this game we could actually introduce those elements, and I think it would be pretty cool. They wouldn't happen all the time, they wouldn't be like the Batmobile in Arkham Knight, but they would happen a few times to where they would actually be kind of fun. Also, I would love to see Mandalore, because I would love to have some different enemies, and fighting some Mandalorians would be kind of interesting, because I feel like that's the one planet we've never really gotten a good look at in Star Wars, and going and exploring it and actually having some different types of enemies would be actually interesting because Jedi and Mandalorians have a very complicated history. So having Mandalorian-based enemies would actually be very interesting, and it would spice things up because there would be a very interesting one-on-one challenge compared to the Imperial enemies, which we've pretty much fought all of those types of enemies at this point, so they're really not much of a challenge. And I feel that Mandalorian enemies would be very interesting and a lot harder to fight. Hell, we can actually introduce some new aliens for Mandalore and introduce a lot more new elements to it. Expand on the lore of Mandalore to a heavy degree. Learn some things we never had before. Introduce new elements. I think it would make the most sense. Hell, we can even do that with Naboo, and I feel like that would be very interesting, expanding the lore of existing planets while also giving us new elements to them, while also giving us brand new planets to mess around with, while also expanding on original planets. I feel like that's something that would be very interesting in the same way that Fallen Order did. Fallen Order handled planets was it gave us a familiar planet, for instance Dathomir, and expanded on it, giving us familiar enemies like the Night Brothers and Undead Night Sisters, but also gave us some brand new enemies to mess around with, and expanded on the lore of Dathomir in some aspects. That is what this game should do. Take a very Fallen Order approach in some aspects, give us familiar locations, expand on them lore-wise and enemy-wise, giving us some brand new elements that add a little bit of a twist to things, while also keeping familiar elements that we already know of, but expand on them. In some aspects, going back to its more Fallen Order roots, but there's one thing this game really needs to improve on is its side content, its collectibles, because in some aspects, Survivor improved on it ever so slightly, but it really was just boring. I feel like they need to add a whole lot for this game. I like the idea of still having Force Echoes and other stuff, but it just kind of got a little bit tedious to collect them in some aspects, and they felt a little bit boring. So this game really needs to improve on that. Like they should keep the bounties and some aspects that Survivor had, but just change stuff up ever so slightly. Also, I hope you guys enjoyed my video. Make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Let me know what you guys think, and let me know any elements that you would add for a Star Wars Jedi 3. Whether you agree with me or disagree, let me know in the comments. I love to hear some ideas and what you guys think they're going to do with the series. And make sure to check out some of the other videos on the channel. It would help me out a lot, so yeah. Also, sorry this video is not the Resident Evil 5 video. Resident Evil 5 video is still coming out, but it's went through several rewrites, and a lot of stuff has happened with a power outage and weather crap, and also just because I've struggled with how to do a Resident Evil 5 remake in some aspects. It's still coming out, but it's going to take me a long while. So I really appreciate your guys' patience and all that. And I really hope you guys enjoy this video. Let me know what you guys think of it again. And peace out. Bye-bye.